everybody. We have the pleasure today to be with Mr. Joaquim Levy, Managing Director and CFO of the World Bank Group. Mr. Levy, thank you so much for giving us your time.
It's a great pleasure.
Thank you. I'm sure most of you know a bit about our MD, CFO, and knows that prior to joining the bank, Joaquim was the Minister of Finance in Brazil. And before that, he held many other very important positions that required him to be away from his family, physically at least, with little free time. You might not know that Joaquim is married to a successful career woman who works full-time in addition to being a mom. Mr. Levy, we can say that you are representative of most of our audience. You're a man, a father, working long hours, traveling a lot. What are the main challenges for you as a father in this life? The most challenging aspects of educating and participating in the life of your children?
First, it's a great opportunity to be here. The family network is really fundamental to everybody in the bank. I remember that when I first joined, not the bank actually, it was at the IMF, and I heard one thing, that to have a strong family is really a great asset for your career, and you have to pay attention to the family because otherwise it's really very difficult to take your life on. But sometimes it's very hard. Sometimes we do have the conflict, and actually not only we father, but even more mothers who work in these institutions. Like you mentioned, we have to travel and so on. Very high price we pay because we are that often far from our children. Still, you can build a rapport. I think that if you do certain things, if you try to be together now with more communication, is somewhat easier. I think you always have time to send an email, to share a little bit what you have done in the day, even if it's something very, say, just met a lot of people, but I always find something that is interesting in sharing. And after all, I think parenting is really sharing your experience, because much more than teaching or telling children this or that is really what they see from the way you act, and that's also what you tell them about your experience, how you react to things, observations from day to day. When I think of myself and my parents, these are probably the things I remember the most from when I was young. Trying to keep this channel, trying to also know what they're doing, what they're feeling, what are their challenges. Of course, for teenagers, it's not very easy for us to know what are their challenges.
You tell me.
Yes, but I think we have to be open and ready all the time.
Mm-hmm. Mr. Levy, a question that arises frequently among our membership, the World Bank Group spouse and domestic partners, is around work-life balance. So I would like now to hear from you as a senior manager in this institution. Where are we now in terms of work-life balance? What are your views?
Life-work balance is actually among the core values of this institution. So you have to be careful that you are faithful to this. It's not easy. We know how much you have to become more efficient and produce more and more. The demands are there. The world demands are there. And one area that I've been thinking, and actually you've been even challenging, especially here among financial partners, is how much you can make more natural. That people don't worry to use, for instance, some of the mechanisms that already exist, for instance, parental leave and paternal leave. I mean, you can only really help, especially if your wife is also professional, if you are ready to take our share on parenting and taking our time off. Sometimes it's not easy. We feel the pressure, or if you be off, what's going to happen? People are expecting us. So of course it needs to have some institutional pushing. You cannot put the burden only on the parent. It has to be some signaling from the institution too. Of course, it also requires some planning, also at a higher level, so that if, for instance, you know one of your staff is either pregnant or has a spouse that is pregnant, you have to plan the workload in the coming months, taking into consideration that probably you need to give some room for a father to be away. President Kim, when he was launching here the He for She initiative, made some 4 very important commitments in respect to have a broader participation of women in our workforce, and he re-emphasized something that is very important and everybody who works in the bank knows. To really get results, you have to set up a goal and then to develop a strategy to reach these goals. I think it's time for us to do that and to build even more in this aspect of the working life balance and how you can support this type of initiative like parental leave, because they go hand in hand with other initiatives to promote, for instance, the female participation in the workforce within the bank, but also they have a tremendous impact on the life of children. You may have heard about something that a lot of people talk in the bank, which is the stunting, which is the children that are not according to, say, the best statistical distribution in terms of development. And it's very clear in most of these studies of this problem that the participation of parents in stimulating, nurturing, etc., the children is a major factor to get this development. And this is why parental leave is so important. And for parents, there's no surprise that they tell you that moments that you have with our children are really the most valuable moments for us. So when I traveled with some of my children, we discover things together. These are the most precious moments that we have.
As a mom myself and a career-oriented woman myself, I couldn't agree more. And that sounds very interesting, and be sure that the Family Network will continue doing whatever we can to support better and better always spouse and domestic partners of World Bank staff.
Okay, I trust you, and really, like I said, it's so important for people who are just coming, a whole new world here. I know you're also present not only in Washington, but you're present also in our regional offices.
About 50 country offices,
yeah,
yes.
Which is something that sometimes people miss about the role, but which is also very important, not only from people who come from Washington to these places, but people from move across regional offices and so on. We have challenges of adaptation in any place, and to know that a group like you, volunteers, but totally engaged, is really precious for all of us. Can talk both as a manager and a staff. It's really a source of confidence to know that you have these resources available in so many aspects. So thank you so much for your work and the work of all the team of the Family Network.
So kind from you, and the Family Network trying to be your people everywhere, every time. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Thank you.